Royal Rumble has come and gone, and we got an event that was fine. It was fine. Royal Rumble 2024 is about to be discussed with me and Ryan Page. Let's get into what happened. Ryan, what's up?
Not much, Matt. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Very well actually.
Yeah.
So Royal Rumble, as I mentioned, Royal Rumble was this Saturday. Um,
hmm
we had the 4 card event, and before talking about the event as a whole, we'll obviously go through each 4 of the maths in depth. But what did
Yeah.
you think of the actual event as a whole?
I thought, as you said, it was good. I like this year's Royal Rumble. Um, I think that it was there was a lot of low energy around this event. The folks in the arena didn't sound particularly loud. No, I'm sure. Like I've been to live events, and we always in our heads think we sound awesome. We don't always. So I'm sure they thought they did. So there's no insult. I'm sure everyone in the room was having a great time, but like it didn't come across on TV, which definitely hurts a Royal Rumble match, right? Also, we gotta at least mention the elephant in the room, the accusations against Vince McMahon, the allegations in that lawsuit. It affected the physical booking of the match, but it also, it affected sponsorships. So there was this dark cloud over this event that I think really, really hurt this event, just from like an enthusiasm standpoint. But it was still the number one most watched PLE outside of a WrestleMania that the company's ever had. Still did awesome at the gate. So obviously it didn't hurt them financially too much, but you could just tell that the vibe had shifted to a weird spot by Saturday. And I think that's why a good Royal Rumble, I think it was good, felt somehow like just okay. And it felt fine, even though I think it was actually good in terms of like what we saw and what we got. And I think a lot of it had to do with those vibes. There's other stuff, I'm sure, but those vibes, I think, really threw it off.
Well, yeah, it wasn't horrendous, but I wish we were looking for more. Whether that's our fault for having too much expectations for this event that's fun every year to watch, but
Hmm.
felt the women's match was the best part, was the best match of the night. Fatal 4 ways underwhelming. Logan Paul and KO was a thing, and then the men's rumble was very underwhelming. And yeah, that's what we get. A nice, okay event that was better than watching some boring movie, I guess. So
I think
with
it was
that,
better than that, personally. But yeah, it
yeah, we
wasn't as good as people wanted it to be.
yeah, we can go into that and explain why. So why don't we first talk about the actual championship match, your fatal 4 way.
Mm.
Roman Reigns successfully defended the undisputed WWE Universal Championship by defeating AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton, having AJ Styles take the pinfall. Great stuff from Roman, a lot of fun, and again, for a star-studded match with 4 people who are no doubt, I'll go say iconic in their own ways, not all in their peak per se, at all in shape, and all should have a good match. It was, with the exception of a couple of cool spots, the Superman punch turn into RKO, LA Knight doing his thing, AJ Styles jumping all over the place. The match was still what we've seen, a solo interference and a Roman win. Like somebody said on Twitter, why wear the hoodie, Solo?
It's
We
true.
know it's you. So guess we'll continue
It's
this on till whenever this stuff
Yeah, yeah,
ends.
I agree. It's true. What is the hoodie about? And also, this is a no DQ match. Like there was no stipulation that Solo was
Yeah,
banned from ringside. I almost would have liked it better if Solo came out with Roman and just stood there the whole time
might as
and then got
well.
involved. Because then at least it would have been different. Because we've seen the hoodie thing since Solo debuted with that hoodie. Like that was how he debuted, and he's done it every match since then.
Well, and what did we get out of it? A solid, okay match. Like I said, with
Yeah,
a couple cool spots here and there, but this is just what Roman's entire reign has been since what? since
3.5 years.
after the Money in the Bank, or after SummerSlam. Let's say
Yeah,
after SummerSlam 22,
that was the
it's been
Brock
just
one, right?
boring, with the exception like Sami Zayn was fun. Obviously, I guess after WrestleMania with Cody, it's just been coasting through getting
Mm-hmm.
these. He's just been coasting through getting these, um, marking off these accomplishments and who does he pass today. And yeah, like I mentioned one of his quotes that he said, "I'm going to be champion forever," and matches like this make you feel that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think to your point, for the amount of star power in this match, it was weird that this was the worst match on the card. And I think what's crazy is, I mean, you're a huge LA Knight guy. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I think that it probably hurts for you to say, but I think you would agree with me. This was the most boring match on the card. And
Yeah,
that's including the men's rumble, because I mean it's hard for a Royal Rumble to be the most boring match on the card.
yeah.
You could argue though that the men's is the second most boring. We'll get into it then. But for this match, the watching it, the thing that I thought the most, I think one change could have fixed two matches, and that's take LA Knight out of this match and put him in the Royal Rumble, because he didn't really add to this match. Like, LA Knight is
Mm-hmm.
not AJ Styles. Like, AJ Styles could have a good match with me. If they said, Ryan, you're getting in there, you're going to main event Royal Rumble in a title match. Don't worry. AJ Styles is in the ring with you. I would feel okay, because he could have a good match. Like, he's the best maybe ever. And then obviously Roman is Roman, and Randy Orton, he's got his thing, right? He hits those RKOs; those are always good for a fun little pop, and everyone's really into him. LA Knight added, the chance, like, people like him, but he didn't add anything to the match, and he would have added a ton to the Royal Rumble. Like, the fans cheering, I think people could have convinced themselves he might win it if he came in at the end, right? So I really do think that that was a big miss to have him in that match, but we didn't get him in that match. And yeah, it was just, it's hard to think four people would be boring, because you'd think there'd always be something happening. But they still did the whole, like, Roman still had time to start jaw jacking with the crowd. He still did his rest holds. They still had all those, like, beats that Roman does. And that just meant everyone had to lay around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everyone had to lay around.
Yeah,
It
that
was
shit sucks. No other ways about it. That's why we
exactly.
need a new take. That's why we hope that there's a big change at WrestleMania, because what other story is there to tell if you're going to have your matches be like this?
There isn't. I mean, I said in the predictions that this is getting danger close to jumping the shark into being on too long, right? If you can put
Hell,
like
I felt that
AJ,
way after SummerSlam
I
last
felt that
year.
way after WrestleMania last year, but if you can
Mm.
but there was moments where I felt wrong, right? I liked Tribal Combat, some people didn't, and it was confusing, but I did like it. The match itself, the tag team match, Solo and Roman versus the Usos, like, they had moments where I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong. But the fact that Roman Reigns couldn't have an interesting, like, match with those three people who are just so good and so popular is indicative that nothing is going to make a Roman Reigns match interesting now, except for a different ending, meaning someone beats him. The only thing that's going to be interesting about Roman Reigns at this point going forward is him losing. There's nothing he can do in victory that's interesting. Um, and so, yeah, we're just kind of making time
Gonna
until
have to say boring Reigns now. We'll
I
admit.
I would agree. I mean, I hate it because he's had three, two, or not even, not quite three, but like 2 years, maybe a little more, that were not boring, that were awesome and all the same. I mean, like, so to call it boring, like the whole thing boring, it just feels wrong, because that's not true, right? But this ending has been so boring.
Well, we'll see. We will know where this all turned into, and we will get into that shortly. But why don't we now talk about the highlight of the night was the Women's Royal Rumble. This had some legit surprising entrance. This had some pretty cool spots. Though we were doing the Iron Woman thing, We did that last year. I mean, it is what it is, but I think the winner was somebody we can be happy won,
Mhm.
and some cool stare downs and cool moments. It was a pretty solid. I would give it a 7 out of 10. And I'm not a fan of the Rhea Ripley title reign this time. Hopefully, it now ends. Hopefully, it'll end a in its 1 year reign.
I don't think
But
it will, but
we can get more of that. But
yeah.
what do you think about the women's Royal Rumble match?
I thought it was good. And what's so weird to me is I watched that one back, and there was some really sloppy moments in that match. Like there was, and not even like some of it I think was on purpose, but some of like Nia Jax looked a little sloppy. Even at the beginning
Well,
of
she
the
oh
match.
she isn't a
Yeah,
very good
exactly.
wrestler.
But fine, fair enough. But like Bailey and Naomi had a couple of those. There were some very sloppy spots in that match, and even with that, it was still like clearly the best match because it was the one that like had the best story and had the most fan investment. The fans were the most invested in seeing that match, and not just seeing the match, but frankly seeing. I mean, can I just say who won or?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes, and seeing Bailey go the distance. And I know you're right. We did just do the Iron Woman, but I mean Bailey's
But this
turning
time it
face
went from 1
3.
to 3.
Yeah, but
Oh my
in
god.
fairness though, Bailey's a heel at the moment, but she needs to be a face, no matter who she faces, no matter how they take the story. Bailey needs to be a good guy at WrestleMania. That's just how because there's two heel champions. So having her have to earn it, you know what I mean? Having her need to work from the beginning through the end, I think was important. If she was already super over like Becky Lynch, if Becky Lynch showed up at 30 and won the whole thing, which she's done before, then people wouldn't care that she didn't, earn it. Like Cody last year. No one's like Cody didn't earn it. He came in last. Like people wanted Cody to win. He's a good guy. We love Cody. And so 30, perfect. But if Bailey did that, it'd be like, wow, look at Bailey getting the skate to the championship match. So I think because they have to turn her face, they needed her to have to that earn it, and she did. But I mean, again, great surprises, like you said, with Naomi, Jordan Grace from TNA, current TNA Knockouts champion, which I thought was kind of fun. They've done that before, but last time it was someone who worked there, so different. And Jade Cargill, which I think we probably have to talk about next because that was honestly probably the biggest thing coming out of that match, even more so than Bailey winning it would be Jade Cargill making her official debut. Matt was right and I was wrong. But yeah, Jade made her official debut at this show.
And she was great at it. I think she could be no doubt one of the faces of the company, and she's very athletic, fun to watch. Her and Bianca stare down was probably my favorite moment of the whole night, to be honest with you.
Mm.
That was the best moment. Fully, that's foreshadowing for a big match very soon. And it was pretty cool. It was just pretty cool. Like I said, we want Royal Rumble is a rare event that anybody can actually be interested in, wrestling fan, casual,
Mm-hmm.
hardcore, hater. And that's what they had. They had a solid moments throughout with a solid winner. That's all we ask for sometimes. Don't have to be over
Yeah,
the top with it, but the idea was accomplished.
and I'll just say like I don't watch all of wrestling with my wife, but I do watch the big PLEs with Melissa. And so we were watching, she was like reading and on her phone, not paying total attention, just looks up every once in a while. And so when Jade comes out specifically, and Melissa doesn't have any knowledge of AEW, so this is not like, oh, it's Jade. You know what I mean? Like this is all new. She saw her come out, and Melissa said, "Who is that?" And I
Mm-hmm.
told her, and she goes, she is awesome. She had not gotten in the ring yet. She was walking out of the ring. I said, "What do you mean?" And she just gave a list of things: her hair, I mean, obviously her physique, right? But the entrance, the whole thing, and then Melissa
Yeah.
watched the match at that point. Jade came out with 28, and so like from that point on, Melissa watched the match. So she saw her pick up Nia Jax, which was awesome, right? And she watched this whole thing. And again, I said on the prediction show that I didn't think Jay would be ready for WrestleMania. I don't know that that's not true still. She
Oh,
was in
I
there
think
for,
there's a good hint that she will be in a
I think so
very good
too.
place for
And
WrestleMania.
yeah, honestly, you know what? Like I was basing that off of old information, having seen her wrestle in the other company, and maybe she's not going to have the best match on the card, but that presentation and like that aura and the way she was held herself in that match, that was 100% WrestleMania ready. Like I don't know who her
Amen.
opponent's going to be. Maybe Bianca. Maybe they'll be together in like a tag team to kind of hide any lingering weaknesses if there are any. But whatever it is, she's going to be on that card and she's going to feel like one of the top stars, which is great because unfortunately WWE is running out of top stars for WrestleMania. Sadly,
That's going to get fixed now, clearly, because
sure, yeah,
that's going to get fixed because Jade is here to stay and start a new star. Hopefully, get a Jade Bianca match, and
yeah,
everybody's going to go crazy. And then, um, this might prove that wrestling will be okay, even if we see some of these stars going down like flies.
yeah. Recently, that's been the case with what we're two down, one's a maybe, and so yeah, it's they're definitely low on people to sell the show in Philadelphia, but Jade will do a lot to help that. I do think that she impressed me certainly, and I think she impressed most everybody who watched,
Amen.
wasn't familiar.
All right, now let's talk about the most disappointing, the mid, the whack, the outright stupid at times, the very, very underwhelming men's Royal Rumble match. It
Yeah, okay,
stunk. It was
okay,
crap. It was
no, it wasn't.
stupid. I liked Cody winning at the end, but yeah, dude, no
So why?
surprises whatsoever. There was no big surprises,
I
no
like that.
insanely crazy spots. Um, no high stakes. It never felt high stakes at times. It felt predictable. And I was just sitting wherever I was and being bored by it.
So I
Boring.
mean, I'll be
The
honest.
boring Rumble
Royal Rumble,
2024.
yeah.
But at
So I
least Cody
disagree with
has
you.
I will say, this is from 0 to 10. This is a 2.5. It
Okay.
was a 2 until Cody's pointing at Roman to make it clear we're doing this again. That was enough for half a point to fix it.
So I'll be honest with you, and I think a lot of people agree with me. So if when you guys hear this, let us know in the comments if you agree. But one, you mentioned no surprises, and I'll admit that Andrade is not like
Let's
on the
be
level
real.
of
Only Charlotte and hardcore people like him. He's just another wrestler.
what. So I'm
Sorry,
saying I
Andrade.
do admit that he's not the same as like if Stone Cold came back
Or
or
if RVD
RVD,
came.
as was suggested by AJ in the prediction show. But can I be honest with you? Let's just be real for a second. RVD wasn't going to win the match.
Well, no, but we still want
Stone Cold
that
wasn't going
one
to come, and
second.
if he did come, if Stone Cold did come out, if Stone Cold came out number 30, guess what? He still wouldn't do. He still wouldn't win the match. So to me, I've always prefer when they put NXT guys, younger talent in the Rumble, and not the too many legends, right? Could they have thrown one in instead of Pat McAfee? Maybe.
And apparently Pat McAfee didn't even know.
Yeah, no, but again, that was all because of the Brock stuff. That was all a result of they needed someone who was physically in the building.
Yes, Brock is named in the lawsuit. Well, not
Yes,
named, but heavily implied to be in
yes,
the lawsuit for his involvement with Vince McMahon and his allegations.
correct.
So a replacement was made. I guess it was reported Braun Breaker had
Right,
more of a role in it.
but Braun
And I will
Breaker,
say he was cool in it. He was one of the
Braun was
few bright
awesome.
spots.
He
I
hit.
like
Did you
Braun.
hear how quick he came off the ropes? Like 25 miles an hour.
Oh, did they really measure that?
They
I didn't see
clocked
that.
it. I
Wow.
mean, I was like, that's slow for like a car, but for a dude
Yeah.
running the ropes, that's
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I hope he sticks
I like
around, and I
Braun.
hope
He
whatever
needs
they were
to
gonna do,
disband the boring day.
yeah, whatever they were gonna do with the other guy for WrestleMania, literally just do it with Braun. And if that means he
I like
becomes
Braun.
IC champion at whatever 24 years old within 2 weeks or whatever it is, 70 days of debuting. I don't care. That'll be awesome for him, and he did so good. But yeah, he was already in the match, so they still needed an extra person. That's the rumor, and so Pat McAfee got tossed in to just because they needed 30 people. And so and he did fine. It was funny, but yes, could you have replaced him or like I don't know, Omos with someone else?
Oh, Omos is so boring, man. Can't you WWE get this right? If you're 7 feet and over, unless your name is Kane, you likely are boring. Boring. And you do the same thing.
But right, so again, was there maybe one or two people they could have switched out for someone more interesting, even from the roster? Sure, but by and large, I didn't mind that there were no legends because the legends aren't going to win, so there's no point in having them. In terms of the predictability, I watched what we said back, and most of us didn't predict this happening. Most of us
Well,
predicted CM Punk or Gunther. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So the idea that this was predictable, I think it wasn't. Frankly, I thought for sure CM Punk was going to win this match. We all thought The Rock was going to be there. We all thought The Rock was having a WrestleMania match. He's clearly not having. Like, you know what I mean? And we can maybe talk about The Rock at the end, but like, so the predictability to me, in like hindsight, it's predictable because of course it is. Cody Reed's to finish his story, and he's going to win the Royal Rumble to challenge Roman Reigns. Makes total sense. Super predictable, easy story, except for the fact that not a single person I know predicted it would happen. Everyone thought, oh, this is going to be CM Punk, or oh, this is going to be Gunther, or oh, maybe LA Knight, before he wasn't in the match, right? Like there was a million people that we all thought was going to win this match, and none of them were Cody Rhodes. So that predictability to me, I don't actually buy that. By the end, it was predictable because CM Punk turned heel mid-match, like with the pedigree and all that stuff. So it became predictable by the end in like the last 15 minutes, but it wasn't at first. But I will say I agree with you. The whole first half of that match till Cody came out at 15, there was no one in that part. Like there's no one in there that felt like they were going to win. Like Drew should have come out there instead. That's where LA Knight could have been helpful. If they had, moved Drew to the beginning, moved Cody like to 13 or 12, and have LA Knight come in at like 30 or 28 or whatever. So now you're like, oh wow, what if they're going to do a SmackDown person to challenge or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? So I do agree with that one criticism. I agree with the first half of this match was just people, being there because
The
they had
Usos
to wait till
beginning was
Cody showed up.
underwhelming.
I would agree. Anything. Beginning was underwhelming, yes.
Whack. Disappointing.
At the end, I
Learn
thought
your
was
lesson. I know I'll give this Royal Rumble a pass with the dark cloud over its head with the Vince allegations. I will give that, but I won't be as mean. But yeah, I just wish it was cooler, simple as that.
Well,
like
last year was much better.
I criticized the Logan Paul a lot, but what he did adding that spot with Ricochet, we just want to see stuff like that, or people doing the flippity flips, or all these finishing moves. It was just
well, you had Braun
every year.
He was kind of, and they weren't flips, but like he hit that spear on Ivar and stuff. Like Braun had some pretty cool spots. They were different. We're used to, again, like the Ricochet Paul. We're used to like Kofi stopping himself from falling, and we didn't get that. But we had Braun Breaker tossing people around, which we don't typically see in a Rumble match. R-Truth was the MVP of both Rumbles somehow. That's not true, but he was very funny in both.
I love R-Truth. I just wish he said people over there was up in front of a crowd of 50,000. That would have been dope. That's the only thing I wish he did.
He will though at probably at WrestleMania when he gets his Judgment Day match. So that's pretty cool.
That'll turn to 50,000 from there. So let's get it. Or 60,000 for the link. Good stuff there. But regardless, Cody is the winner.
Yep.
It is fair to say we really didn't. It wasn't predictable, but yet the writing was on the wall the whole time. But at the same time, the way no real indications of it happening, I guess we predicted this back last April, but regardless, we're happy. And I will say, again, it got half a point from pointing at Roman right away and making it obvious. So I don't know why they're making it on Raw. He's going to have a conflict
Well, on Raw, so obviously Raw is happening while we record, but on Raw it was just Seth Rollins basically begging Cody to pick him, saying that he was the real he's the real champion, he's the fighting champion, his the most important belt. So it's very strange, but it kind of fits with Seth's character, right?
Yeah, and
Seth has
there's
said from the beginning
filler.
he's
There's
going to
still
make this title
69
relevant.
days till
Yeah,
the actual event, so
right.
we
So
can
it
do
gives a
something.
little bit of a what's going to happen sort of thing. But yes, obviously first thing he did, he didn't even point at the sign, pointed at Roman,
Yeah.
which I really liked. Excuse me. He did eventually point at the sign, but yeah, it was the last shot wasn't Cody Rhodes saying I'm going to WrestleMania. The last shot was Cody Rhodes saying I'm taking that title, and Roman Reigns up in the box holding that title up in the air saying no, you're not. And so that was a really cool ending shot, which I think that alone
Yeah.
makes this a unique Rumble. But yeah, I do agree the beginning was boring. I do think we should probably just get this out of the way now. Actually, The Rock's not coming back.
I think
Thoughts, Matt?
I actually want to do that a little after. Or
Oh, you want to wait? Okay, we can wait.
I just want to wait a little after. Just want to make some final thoughts there.
Sure.
But we could do that after the ad read. But yeah, I just think that moment, as you mentioned, was what was something different. It's something special. And we'll take it what it is, and regardless, it wasn't horrendous. It wasn't god awful, but it was just okay. So, hopefully next year we won't have a dark cloud over the event. Hopefully next year, we'll be in better circumstances, but no need to rush there because it's still the beginning of WrestleMania season and anything can happen.
Yes.
And I think it'll be really good. Any final thoughts on either men's or women's Rumble?
No. Like I said, women's was better. I think I'm a little higher on the men's than you are, but it definitely was the weaker of the two, and it definitely suffered from partly the Vince stuff, partly it's just some weird decisions at the beginning, stuff like that.
Exactly, but good times are ahead, and that will complete the men's and women's Royal Rumble. But I will say, the Royal Rumble was a great time, is a great time of the year. It was a great time regardless. Even if we felt some type of way with the actual event, it was still cool to see 60 men and women all compete for a chance to headline WrestleMania. And they got there by staying focused, working hard, and they did what they had to do for this big accomplishment of their careers in the Royal Rumble. So these men and women did so much, and they do this by staying focused and working hard in their lives. And that's like me, always finding a way to stay focused to create my biggest accomplishments. The superstars were hyper focused during the match, and even if the final result was, it was what it was, regardless, they still got there. And we could still appreciate the men and women who fight and compete and perform for us. And they do this and they were hyper focused and they complete their goals, and they seem to figure it out and get amongst their life and do good things. And that's like me and anyone else trying to improve their life and focus and having something to figure out. And figuring something out to make sure you live your best life. And I got something for you that can help you figure out what you need to get that extra little boost in your life. And that is from our new friends at Magic Mind. The people at Magic Mind have this great product to help you get that boost to figure things out for your life. And ever since I started taking my Magic Mind as a way to improve my energy and improve my focus in a busy life, I wound up finding the solution I needed with this great product. I started taking Magic Mind during my morning routine, and ever since then, it's made a big impact on my concentration and my energy. So the way it works, I go to the gym every morning, I wake up, get my stretches in, I then take my shot of Magic Mind, and then I go to the gym, do my workout. From there, I eat my breakfast, I shower, and then I go about my day, go to work, and do all those great things. And I have a little pep in my step because of Magic Mind. And I will say, it genuinely tastes good too. The nootropics help me get a lot done throughout my day after taking the shots, and it's allowed me to be less stressful. It allowed me to be less stressed. It doesn't have caffeine, so you don't need to feel bad about drinking your morning coffee. And instead of drinking coffee, drinking your pre-workout, take Magic Mind, and it really works. And why does it work? It's because of these special ingredients that are used to reduce fatigue and anxiety, and increases your body's resistance to stress, and improves physical and mental endurance, as well as help your mental clarity. And ever since I've started taking it, I'm able to jump out of bed and feel good about myself. I really, really appreciate the nice energy and concentration Magic Mind gives me. And I would recommend it because it helps me physically by getting my body ready for the day, helps me mentally by giving the clarity I need to go about my business, and it simply just gets me excited with a nice attitude, and I'm ready to go with it. So we appreciate what Magic Mind can provide for us. And why don't you take them up on this offer and get an extra boost in your life and get fully focused like I did, and check out the Magic Mind website and get this incredible product to improve your life. And I promise you, you won't regret it. And the Magic Mind team was gracious enough to give us a special offer to our fans and listeners, and here's what you can get with it. And here's the special offer they are gracious enough to give us. You get up to 55% off your first subscription in the month of January, and 20% off your first time purchase by using discount code productive20. And you use this by going to magicmind.com/Jan Productive Conversations. That's magicmind.com/Jan, Jan, Productive Conversations, and use the discount code productive20. And we do have the link in the description below on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And by going to the website and writing the code, you get 75% off your first order. And this only lasts for the rest of the month of January, so we only have a few more days to do it. So be sure to get the code. Be sure to go online, go to Jam Productive Conversation, go to magicmind.com/Jam Productive Conversation, use the promo code productive20, and you'll be on your way to having the product that will improve your life immensely. Thank you to Magic Mind for producing this and for this amazing opportunity. And like I said, big fan of the product. And I promise if you start taking it to add some concentration and energy in your daily life, use Magic Mind to fulfill that. So thank you to our friends at Magic Mind for making this possible. So moving forward, Ryan, you talked about The Rock, right? Why don't you continue with that?
Yeah, well, I said it in the predictions. I think this is true. I know there are reports that sometime in 2024, The Rock will have a match against Roman Reigns. But I don't believe that. This is not me reporting any news. I don't have a source saying, "Nah, it's not happening." My sources, I've seen this play before. That's my source. There's no better time in 2024 for The Rock than WrestleMania. Look, we've lost. CM Punk's out for sure. Brock Lesnar is out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's two big stars. Seth Rollins is maintaining that he will defend his title at WrestleMania. I will believe that when I see it. Truly, I don't think he will. I think at best case scenario, he pretends he will, gets jumped by Damian Priest before the match and gets pinned, and then the match is Damian Priest versus whoever is challenging him for the title. I genuinely do believe that he's not going to be cleared to do a real match at WrestleMania if the injury he said he has is the injury that he has.
Yeah.
So you're down three people. If you don't pull up with The Rock now, if The Rock can't find a spot on your card right now, when you've lost three of your biggest stars, then I don't really know when is the time. Like, now is the time for The Rock. Some people are saying they're seeing if they can get more money out of Saudi Arabia by doing the first Rock match there. I don't know. I don't necessarily care what The Rock's plans outside of the wrestling industry are, but I know he has them because he said he has them. Some of those include things that working in Saudi Arabia will hurt. He's got some potential future plans that he's openly talked about that doing the Saudi show will not be conducive to achieving. So if that happens, right, if he does have a career in public service after all this is done, in his mind, he's not wrestling for Saudi Arabia. I don't care how much money they're going to pay. So it's not fair. I mean, you wait till Berlin. That's a major match. The city of Berlin is paying for that match, but so are the folks in Perth, Australia. So why, and they've got nobody because they definitely don't have Seth, and they don't have Roman either. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes no sense that The Rock wouldn't be on one of these next two shows. So he clearly isn't coming back, right? Like, what are they waiting for if not Australia or WrestleMania? What could they
Well,
possibly be waiting for?
I guess the writing's on the wall there. Clearly, The Rock is the busiest man in the world. And yeah, at this point, it really is. I'll believe it when I see it. If he's going to hype up a big match, show up more, or at least establish that, hey, this is going to happen at this time.
Right.
But
It's
my
just
favorite rumor of them all, or fantasy booking, to justify, we're going to have the rematch we want anyways. I think it's fair to say majority of people want to see Roman and Cody too.
yeah.
And with that, you have to figure out a way to not repeat the same ending as you did last time.
Mm-hmm.
And on a poetic justice standpoint, if whoever's left in the bloodline is going to interfere in that Cody and Roman match, and then The Rock does make his return, interferes, literally does what he did in the Miz and Cena match, and
Mm-hmm.
costs Roman on what they want to establish as the most sacred reign of all time, despite him getting cheap victories.
Mm-hmm.
But if he gets the bad karma for him and he's screwed out of a title, well, it would make sense. I want to go after my own family for preventing me to have the longest reign of all time. And I'll let you, I understand you have a concern with that, so I'll let you say that, which is,
Yeah, the biggest concern is that makes Cody, like it did with The Miz, the least important person in the biggest match of his career. If you set
mm-hmm,
up Rock Roman at the end of Roman Cody 2, then the only thing people won't be talking about is Cody Rhodes.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I'll be honest, finish the story. I mean, it's a nice marketing thing. They've been doing it for it's part of the 2K24 game. Like
mm-hmm.
they've really leaned in to finish the story, as they did last year, in fairness, before they decidedly didn't finish the story. So I don't know if they care that much about ruining finished the story. But if you, at least last year, I'll say this for last year, while the story wasn't over, the cliffhanger was a big one because no one saw it coming, right? We all predict. I believe every single one of us on the prediction show last year predicted Cody winning. Like it was a lock. We were all certain of it. So this year, you know, if they don't finish the story, that's one thing. But if they finish the story but just bury it, they're like, okay, story's over, moving on. That's so much worse than not finishing the story. That is so much worse than ignoring Cody. Ignoring Cody Rhodes is so much worse than delaying his win. So I really hope they don't do that. If they do something at the beginning of the match, right? Like if Solo comes down, makes his own entrance, and then The Rock shows up for that, it stops Solo and takes him out. And the Usos are probably fighting, and so that they'll already be out because they'll be on night one or whatever. If they can do something like that, then I'm totally for The Rock being equalizer. But if The Rock hits Roman Reigns at all,
Mm-hmm.
then in my opinion, it makes the entire thing about The Rock and Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes becomes the least important person in his own story that he's supposed to be finishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And well, I guess we won't know for another 69 days what's going to happen and what
Right.
build are they going to have with Roman, taking his sweet time showing up whenever he feels like it. Now that joke is getting old because all wrestlers are referencing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So all I can really say that's a good idea, but we'll just have to wait until April to see what actually unfolds, and it's easier to talk about this the week of
Sure.
the big main event.
Right. We'll hear
But
more from The Rock by then. We'll hear more from
mhm.
Roman by then. We'll hear more by then. But I really, like I said, I really do think there is no better time than right now. So if right now can't convince him to come back, then we might have to just consider that he's just not that interested in in-ring return. He's moved on. He's got other interests,
So
and I think that's
Ryan, do you
fine.
want to say he's an implied liar talking about head of the table?
Well, I told you, and you didn't agree with me, but I told you from the beginning that his reference to head of the table was not a direct reference to a match with Roman Reigns. It was a cheeky reference to the fact he was about to join the board of directors because he knew people would take it to mean I'm going to fight Roman Reigns. It was on purpose. It was a troll job, 100%. I've thought
But
that from the beginning.
I also said this. How much involvement does The Rock really have? Besides, it's to me, it seems like it's like naming a rich person the executive producer of a movie. We'll just give this to you just cause when he has his 10
I
million
mean, the
other things.
last board
Like, will he
removed
actually go every week to where the TKO in Manhattan or wherever? He's gonna
I'm
go
sure.
every week. He's
So I'm
going to
sure
make
he'll get.
suggestions. He will go to a lot of events, you know, even
You
not
see,
just
yeah,
as
they're not going to
Dwayne.
have board meetings every week. He's going to go to the board meetings when I have them. But no, he's going to vote on important board things as you do when you're on a board, and he's going to have his people read the minutes from the non-important stuff, so he knows what's happening for when he goes to the important meetings. But that's what they all do. I think honestly, though, the part of him being there is because the TKO team wants to build some wrestling infrastructure that has nothing to do with the McMahon family. And so I think
Mhm.
that he may be asked to do, again, certainly he's going to do more public stuff for WWE things. He's going to be publicly around when WWE has big things like the Netflix deal, which he was a huge part in advertising.
Mhm.
Um, so he's going to become a bit of a de facto spokesperson for the WWE brand, 100%. I think he could end up actually being tasked with some operations stuff, not in like actually running the company, but like being the board's voice on that product because it's a weird product to try and if you're the CEO and chairman of TKO and you have to work with this product that you don't really have a ton of experience with, and it's not like UFC is pretty simple. You look at everybody's stats and you say this person's on this person's on this person. These two have the best stats. They're going to do the match. You know what I mean? They're going to fight for the title, whatever weight class they're in. UFC is kind of simple math. The third
Yeah.
best and the fourth best fight, right? WWE is not that way. So having someone who gets it, more than one person who gets it on their board is not a bad deal. And so I do think they're going to rely on him more significantly than they would just rich dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of board members who are just have a lot of money and that's why they're there. I think he might
Mhm.
genuinely they might want somebody with some wrestling background to help promote their brand and to understand their brand in a way that they can't do otherwise.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. And again, even if you could get a lot of money just from speculating a possible match or not, I guess I'll keep doing it. But
Mm.
let's just focus on what we can control as a fan, and we can control how we feel about the likelihood of Roman and Cody. And all I ask is, can we please make the build as relevant as possible? Not like, you know, showing up when you want, make it obvious. Like Cena in Austin Theory, he literally only did one show before their match.
And that match was horrible.
Exactly. We don't want that again. That's all I ask. If Roman's really going to have this schedule and he's not going to retire soon,
I
then you
think.
got to do
Well,
something
so I'll say this.
to at least go out on top. Can you at least work hard for at least the WrestleMania season and then disappear? That's all
So
I
I
ask.
really think, and I don't know. I think not everyone. I don't know if everyone agrees with this. I
Mhm.
think when Roman loses in April, presumably, I hate saying that because I was so sure last time and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The bad guy won last time, but when Roman loses in April, I don't think it would be out of the question that the next time we see Roman Reigns at all is Royal Rumble the following year.
I mean, yeah, fine. If you want to have,
Because
an Undertaker schedule for the rest of your career,
just think about this story.
what's his
How
so
weird would it be?
He's 38. So if he wants to spend the next shit, if he wants to do this for the
10
next
years?
10 years, show up just for Mania season, fine. Because like,
I don't think he'll do that
yeah.
forever, but I do think that this story, I mean, if this was a book, right? If we were writing this story and it wasn't about pro wrestling, the story would have to end with Roman Reigns, you know, like they'd have to get rid of him. They'd have to
Go into
vanquish Roman
Belize.
Reigns. You know what I mean? They'd have to vanquish Roman Reigns entirely. You know what I mean? Like wrestling can almost not do justice. I mean, we compare it to a mob movie all the time, right? The mob movies don't end with, the mobster losing their bank account and being owed drat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so if this was a movie, the build has been leading to the end of Roman Reigns, like the actual demise, not the end of his championship, the end of Roman Reigns. And so I think that he has to go away for, frankly, a year. I think he has to be gone from WrestleMania till, WrestleMania time the next year. And him, by the way, winning the Royal Rumble next year and his first match back would be awesome. People would be like, oh my God, Roman is back. He just won the Royal Rumble. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that. Because imagine how many times was Roman the runner-up in the Royal Rumble or the winner of the Royal Rumble, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? The idea that him winning would probably be the most exciting thing that could happen if he's gone for a year. And then all of a sudden, Cody be on notice. Maybe CM Punk would be on notice, or Seth, or The Rock. If The Rock comes back at that point, there would be so many ways to take that. So I truly, truly do think that he does actually have to go away for a long time, which is, again, even more of the reason I don't think that this Rock rumor is real. Because it'd be foolish for Roman to show up the next night on Raw and be like, I want The Rock at next year's WrestleMania. But no, Roman should be dejected and defeated and gone because he just lost the thing that mattered to him most. So I don't know. But I do think that I think I actually disagree. And I do think that Roman does need to go away for a long time after WrestleMania.
So do I. So, yeah, whatever, man. What evs. So why don't we now put a cap on this and talk about Logan Paul and Kevin Owens, right? Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, blah, blah, blah. We got an okay match.
We got a good
Funny,
match.
no, only okay. I wanted to see other cool stuff, but I didn't think it was that good. I liked the ending though. It did make me laugh. But what do you think about Logan's cheap disqualification loss?
Well, like I said, I knew they were going to do something to like save Logan and Kevin Owens for the next show, right? Like they have to fight in Australia, but I thought this match was really good. I think it was the second best match on the card for sure. But Logan Paul was phenomenal, really. I mean, there's no better way to say it. I'm sorry, but it's true. And I mean, to the point where we've predicted that it's LA Knight and Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and Knight will win that match. If that's the match we get, that'll be what happens. And if it's not the match, whoever it is will beat Logan Paul at WrestleMania. But I think there's a solid chance that Logan Paul will be the most talented person in the ring, whoever he faces off with at WrestleMania.
WWE's like the Brooklyn Nets when they paid players to sit in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, letting him do what he wants. What's wrong with just performing? Logan Paul, you can't show up at least once a month. At least Roman shows up once a month. This guy shows up once every 2 months.
I mean, he'll be around more now, I think. I think that's safe to say. He's on more of that like edge schedule where he's gone for a long stretch, and he's around every Monday or I guess every Friday. What?
You see, I'm not a fan of the show up when you want.
Well, schedule. I think, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying.
That's where I actually agree with Seth, and he makes a valid point that he shows up every dang week.
Well, that's what makes Seth interesting. That's what Seth's whole character is. He's a reaction to these people like Logan and like Roman. But I
Yeah.
think the fact is, and this is not new, by the way. I mean, cast our minds back to the Lesnar championship reigns. He wasn't around all the time.
And you know what? Wrestling was at an extreme low point
It
at that
was,
point.
but it's not at a low point now. And I think the difference is because the people who are doing this, well, one, there's a balance. So yes, Roman Reigns and Logan Paul are not always around, but Seth and Gunther are. So you never don't have a world champion. You never don't have that mid card, workhorse title. You do. You always have them because there's two of them, which is why the brand split works. But also, they're bigger stars. I mean, Logan Paul, for all of the complaints people have with him, the only complaint you can't make is that he's not an A-lister. He's an A-list celebrity. Logan Paul is a big celebrity that people take notice of, right?
I say B-list. He's not elite. You're
Fine.
Leo, Robert Pattinson, Chalamet. That's A-list.
Sure,
Logan,
fair enough,
no. He's a high C-list.
But regardless, he's certainly a bigger celebrity
between C and B.
See.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, Bad Bunny is the only bigger celebrity than Logan Paul in wrestling.
Right. And at least when he shows up, it's freaking cool.
Well, that's because of how big a celebrity he is.
Yeah, and he does some pretty cool spots.
But I would say my difference
for somebody who is a 7-time Grammy Award winner.
Yeah, well, I think we're grading on a big curve with Bad Bunny, and we should be because Bad Bunny is a musical artist who is doing wrestling, and it's awesome, right? Logan Paul, if he was doing what Bad Bunny was doing, right? If he was on that level, he would be an absolute failure because Logan Paul is not Bad Bunny. He's not as famous as Bad Bunny. But Logan Paul is not doing what Bad Bunny's doing. Logan Paul is doing professional wrestling. He's doing real matches with really talented people, and he's performing like they're equal in every single one. At no point in time was I like, oh, Logan Paul looks completely out of his element against Kevin Owens. And I think anyone who watched that match, whether they thought the match was good or not, would agree with that. Mm-hmm. That at no point in time were you like, Kevin Owens is carrying Logan Paul through this match. Logan Paul gave every bit that he needed to give. He sold everything he needed to sell. He did awesome. And you know who else did awesome, by the way? What's this? Jeff in the white t-shirt. He's become like Logan's like valet a little bit, with the brass knucks. And he's getting good at that too. He's sly, you know what I mean? Like, talking to the referee and stuff. Like, their act is good. That the Impulsive Crew has a good act. It's interesting. It draws heat. And it makes the baby faces. I mean, Kevin Owens cheated and got cheered. You know what I mean? Like, Kevin Owens put on the knucks and cheated in front of everybody. And the crowd went ballistic because, like, finally someone knocked this dude out. And they didn't even care that the good guy cheated. They were just so happy that someone punched Logan in the mouth. And that means they're doing a good job. That means they had a good match. Logan did his job. Kevin did his job. And then when the Dusty finish happened and they're like, wait a second, you cheated. It got a reaction out of the fans. You know what I mean? Like, people, it was funny. Like you said, I agree. It was funny because the ref didn't see any of the other nonsense that happened. He just saw quickly, but whatever, not the point. So it was funny, but also it meant something. People cared. And so that's why I think, again, based on all the matches, we saw 4 matches, people cared the most about the Women's Rumble. And then the second most they cared all night was Kevin Owens punching Logan Paul with those knuckles. That was the second biggest reaction the fans had. Bigger than anything that happened in the Fatal 4-Way. And bigger than pretty much everything with the exception of, like Punk and Cody at the end of that match. Punk and Cody at the end of the Royal Rumble, people were into that. So, that's probably that alone was probably bigger than the U.S. title match. But yeah, people were into it. And I thought they both did a great job. I thought I would rewatch that match. I wouldn't rewatch the Men's Rumble this year. I would rewatch the U.S. title match, though.
I think that's a good place to put this to rest. That'll complete our Royal Rumble reaction. And now, 69 days from today, will be WrestleMania. Likely 70 days from today, we react to how this all began. And all I hope, Ryan, is that this is a cool road to WrestleMania, because I'm not in the mood for a boring one.
Yeah, I agree. I think
And the
that
2024 Royal Rumble started this road to WrestleMania in a meh type of way, for the exception of that last spot. So I hope
I'll
it
agree with
only
that.
goes up from here.
I think it will. I think some of it because
I
they're good at
trust
their
it.
job, and some of it because there's a lot of moving parts right now. There's just a lot when you really sit and think about it. There's just a lot that we don't know. Like we know the
Right.
main
We
event
like to
of
think we
night
do,
two.
and people make stuff up that we fall
Oh,
for.
sure. I'll
Mhm.
pretend I know everything when I do the predictions, and I'll get about like 60% right, which is I think like my average is I get about 60. So a little better than half is what I get right. We
It is
don't
pretty
really
good.
know. We don't really know what's happening with with WrestleMania this year. So the road to WrestleMania is going to be interesting.
Yes.
Maybe not everyone's favorite. You know what I mean? It could feature a lot of boring day as an example. But I think there's enough moving parts and there's enough kind of uncertainty in the air that they could have some really cool moments and even make a couple of really big stars, which would be ideal because, like I said, their stars are in short supply after the last week.
Exactly. Well, we will see where this all unfolds, Mr. Page. And
Indeed.
with that, I'll see you at the end of the week for another tweet cap.
Yep.
And I hope they don't drop the ball.
I hope so too.
We'll keep the faith. As long as Ryan believes that it'll be okay, it's going to be okay. All right. See you at the end of the week.
See you, Matt.